Welcome to the Legal Advice in Paradise podcast, brought to you by www.legaladviceinparadise.com. Even in one of the most beautiful places in the world, life can be litigious. On this podcast, the best and brightest legal minds gather to help you navigate your way through every legal question you may face. This program will help you know your rights, know what steps to take, and help you find the best legal representation, all in simple, easy to understand terms. And now, here's your host, Justine Gronwald.
Aloha, Agents of Change. This is Justine with Legal Advice in Paradise. Welcome back. My guest today is Jeni Sayud, and we actually met at a women's professional business networking, and I have been so honored and privileged to have her because she has something really important that she wants to share with you, and she represents LegalShield. But mainly what she wants to talk about is identity theft. And I know that a lot of you probably heard about it, some nightmare stories. And you know, in today's society with cyberspace and everything, our information is so easily accessible, and it can just be taken by any hackers or what have you. But what do you do to protect yourself? Because typically people don't think about it, and then one day somebody's using their credit card or stolen their social security or whatever it may be, and it's just a big nightmare. So Jeni is here to talk about what you can do to help protect yourself against that if that ever happens to you. So before we begin, I want Jeni to tell you a little bit about herself and go from there.
Sure. Again, my name is Jeni Sayud. You might see in the comments, my maiden name is Carbajal, so Jeni Carbajal. But what brought me to Hawaii, I'm actually a transplant. I'm from Los Angeles, Southern California. I came here on the mission to just learn a bit about how I can grow my business with LegalShield and just spreading the word about identity theft. And a training program turned into living here. 3 years later, my husband and I both now live here in Honolulu. We love it. All our family is still on the mainland, but they love visiting. So it's just a blessing to be here, a blessing to just share some of this information with your listeners, the Agents of Change, and whomever's listening on iTunes and in your car maybe. So that's a little bit about me. So.
Yes, so tell us a little bit about, I know Bernie Bavar of Bavar & Jones shared about what LegalShield can provide for you, but today you're going to touch on that as well, but we're going to really focus and hone into identity theft because it's something that everybody needs to be aware of. Absolutely.
I think the unique thing about LegalShield's partnership with an identity theft or a risk management company, which is Kroll, is that most identity theft issues turn into a legal situation. So the partnership just matched so well. So what Kroll does, as I mentioned, is a risk management company. So when our members, if they're enrolling in our identity theft program, if they become a victim of identity theft, they're not just being covered on a credit related situation or bank related, as you were saying earlier, because that's the first thing we think of is our money in the bank. And banks advertise it very well to get protection, be it $1, $3, $5 a month, so that they make sure they're giving any monies back taken out due to identity theft. But there's a huge gap in some of the identity theft companies on what happens if your social security gets breached.
That's the one.
Yeah, it doesn't pop up on your credit report until you get stuck with back taxes. So banks won't know how to protect that. Or in the event of medical identity theft, which is huge.
There's medical identity
theft?
theft?
Your medical information being breached.
Why would anybody want to take that?
Because they don't have medical insurance. Or they can't get medical insurance.
I was thinking, okay, so they take... They use your coverage to pay for their bills?
They'll use your medical information to look like their medical information so that they can qualify for insurance.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
I've never heard that.
It's which one of the fastest growing facets in the identity theft arena, because a lot of people who may be ill already, since they don't qualify for medical insurance, they'll make it look like on paper they're not ill. But the only way they can do that is putting someone else's social, putting someone else's medical records, changing the blood type to match their own. So
that is creepy.
It could end up. It could. It's.
Anyway, that's just flooring me, because I was thinking like most people, the credit card, the bank, Social Security, but medical, it's gotten that bad that people have to do that.
Absolutely. You have many clinics nationwide, hospitals getting breached because information is being either copied by cleaning companies is a huge target.
Whoa.
They'll hire cleaning companies to just make copies of records. Nothing looks missing when you go back to work or go back to...
Of course, because they put it back.
Copies, yeah. It's a huge... children's identity theft is on the rise as well. And if your listeners are thinking about it, when was the last time you checked your Keikis credit report? Probably never.
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 Why would we?
Because they get a social security number.
And they're using the kids.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't, that's the last thing we would think about. Because, just like me, I have 2 children, but I have one that's still underage. And I'm thinking, I shouldn't let her social security card get anywhere, keep it in a safe place. But at the same time, I'm like, well, if they take it, what's the big deal? Right? Because she's a kid. Right?
Right.
But they still can use it.
They still can use it. It's a valid social security number. They can maybe change a name or spell it a little bit differently, and it's valid. Unfortunately, some companies don't do the due diligence that's put into matching names with social security numbers. They'll just say, hey, it's a valid social security number, let's do it. So there's been many examples of people across the nation finding that people are working jobs in their names. Hundreds of people, because it's not like, one social security number can be sold several times. It's not like when you steal something physically, you sell it, you have to steal again. Here you can steal something once and you're selling information over and over again. Yes.
So it sounds like it's a huge business out there.
It is.
And in the bad realm, but so that's why it's important to get identity theft coverage and
absolutely, and not just coverage though. It's what a company will do in the event you do become now a victim. Are they going to give you a packet in the mail on how to go fix it yourself? Are they going to spend some time with you, hours and hours amount of time with you over the phone? Or like us with Kroll, hire a risk management company that's part of what you're paying for to do the legwork. Signing over a limited power of attorney so that a private investigator can do that for you. And that's exactly what we do, is a full restoration package between not just monitoring your credit, but in the event you do become a victim, the investigator can do his job, and again, you can have a little bit more peace of mind because you're not doing that legwork.
And besides, you wouldn't know what to do.
No.
I mean, you only can Google so much.
Exactly.
And then you don't even know if you're taking the right advice off of Google. You know what I'm saying? I'm just thinking as an ordinary person, okay, something got stolen, let's see what Google says.
No, and that's very true. That's what the population, the masses would do, is their own research system, which would, entail Google, Bing, Yahoo. But if you want to Google something with credibility, and Kroll Inc. is a credible company. They've never been breached. They consult with large countries, or small countries and large companies, Fortune 500 clientele. For an individual to get a individual family plan is only through LegalShield. We have an exclusive contract for them.
Now, Kroll is spelled how?
Kroll.
Okay.
So that's Kroll.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're the ones who helped. UH had a breach in the past couple of years. They helped with that situation with their victims. So they're very, very credible company. Been around a long time. They do a lot of the background checks for major airports, the security checks for the Pentagon. So we're in good hands. Our members are in really great hands.
Now, we covered what can be breached and what can be sold. Is there anything more that the public should know that can be taken from you? And before we go more into detail of how LegalShield can help?
Yes, a lot of the everyday things. They say, when you plan a vacation, most people go to the very down detail of what your vacation is going to be like. But if you take that same amount of detail and apply it just to protecting your information on a daily basis, the same as when you lock your doors or you lock your for your car, for your home. Some important 5 things maybe to be important would be shred your information.
And I know they sell home shredders, but I don't think most people have them.
No, but the best shredder is a cross-cut shredder. So they have machines that, even if you have a regular shredder, they have machines that you could put back a document. So
yeah, I can imagine.
And so a cross-cut shredder is the best. Always check your medical bills that come in. Once you go to the doctor, you'll get something maybe a couple weeks later, just kind of outlining the benefits or what you had depleted. Yeah, what you've done. Yeah. Don't just shred that. Like, really open it up and make sure those were the services that were done to you. Yeah.
I don't think most people, if it's not a bill, they're like, okay, just...
Yeah, but check, because you don't know if someone's depleting your benefits other than yourself. Another thing that you could do is to make sure you keep all your non-public information, like your social security cards or driver's license, and not put it in plain view, and even lock it up at home if you have copies. Don't just put it in a drawer or under in the sock drawer or in a box under the bed. You want to lock that up and make sure it's secure. Another thing that you would be able to do is check your credit reports on an annual basis if you don't have something that you could check more often. But the actual Federal Trade Commission approved site is annualcreditreport.com.
Annualcreditreport.com.
Yeah, annual credit. People say freecreditreport.com. No, it's not, because of that neat little jingle, but it's annualcreditreport.com. That's Federal Trade Commission approved. And you can get one every 12 months, and it's through all 3 credit bureaus. And then another thing that you could do is just don't share information with other people. Sometimes we're kind of a little lax with who sees what in our household, even if it's just your extended family members.
Really?
So you'd be surprised, 80% of identity theft happens because it's of a person that knows you. Unfortunately, but they're the ones who may have access. But we can do so many things to not share information when our information is just already out there. You know,
I've seen stuff like people, if they have your credit card, the employee will run to the back really quick and get like a piece of paper and then get a pencil or something and just quickly get the imprint of it in a very shrewd manner, and then bring it back really quick. And then you have all the numbers on top of that thing. And it can happen that fast.
It can happen, especially because we're such a state that has so much tourism go through it. It's very common. And not to knock on the industry, but it's just it's real. That's what's happening. And then another thing is, when you're going to the doctors, you should want them to see your photo ID along with your medical card. If they don't, I know a lot of times they'll just have a medical card, there's no picture, but that means anybody can pick up your medical card and go into the doctor. So,
now it's the medical card, not just your driver's license.
It is.
Wow, it's gotten that far. So LegalShield offers this as an addition to the attorney's
it's
coverage?
an addition, or it's a standalone, so it just depends on what you need for your family. It being the fastest growing white collar crime, it's even faster than it accumulates more income than drug trafficking now.
What?
Yeah, it's the number one, and these are all like facts from the Federal Trade Commission. If you doubt what I'm saying, you could go to ftc.gov. But it's the number one consumer complaint for the last 14 years.
Wow.
But there's just no way to put a cap on it because of all this cyber things that are going on.
Right.
Yeah.
So how does LegalShield help? Once a member decides whether to add that to their legal coverage or get it as a standalone, what happens now? So they just pay every month, and then if something were to happen, then they just call LegalShield? Is that how it happens?
Yes. So when you become a member, we have a 24/7 credit monitoring. So anytime there's a change on your credit report, they'll give you an initial credit report just to establish as a baseline. But from there, if any changes are made, or if there's even no changes, at least once a month they'll let you know there's no change. But as soon as there is a change, you know, if you're at work here in Honolulu and someone buys a car in your name on the East Coast, you'll know before they drive off the lot if you were to have the LegalShield 24/7 monitoring. And the 24/7 monitoring doesn't affect your credit. I know a lot of people are scared about the inquiries, and it doesn't
inquiries
affect.
Is not a good thing.
Yeah. But you'll get that, and then, you know, there's a number that you can call on business hours. They work on, I believe, Central Time. But if you you feel that you've been a victim of identity theft, you call that number, and then you get immediately a private investigator assigned to your situation.
Yeah. So going to that, because in the beginning you mentioned they get was it a temporary or power of attorney?
Yeah, so when it comes to, you know, all the main things that you have to do initially, like, you know, make sure you flag the credit bureaus, or make sure, you know, they'll ask you to do a couple things that only you can do, and then if more is needed, then you can sign over a limited power of attorney to your investigator, and they can do that for you instead of you spending, you know, they say the average identity theft victim spends anywhere from 15 to 28 hours of their own time.
I would think it's more.
Yeah, you would say, right? I would say maybe even 20 to 40 hours of their own time, and anywhere from $1,500 to $5,000 of their own money to get out of that situation. And it might sound like small numbers, but no one might have that extra amount for an identity theft issue. It's probably for a different emergency, but probably never would be an identity theft issue.
So the coverage allows what? Does it allow you to restore your credit? Does it allow you to get your money back that was possibly stolen? Things credited back to your credit card? What does it help you do?
So all of the above. So and when we say restore, we fully mean it's a full restoration. So back to pre-theft status. You know, you have things like $1 million policies out there, but you still have to prove that you're a victim of identity theft. And if you don't have a private investigator, you can't prove that. So that's why with us and working with the private investigators, it works so well. Even if you're in doubt and you think you might become a victim, we'll still help you. You don't have to prove it yourself. That's our job. So you know, our coverage, even in our basic, it ranges anywhere from $9.95 in conjunction with a legal plan, all the way up to $29.95 if you get our premium services on standalone. But it's very affordable. You know, we're the best of the best, and that's not an opinion, that's a fact. We've been in,
and you cover the whole family.
We cover the whole family at no extra cost.
Anybody that has a Social Security, which is everyone, has to be covered, obviously.
Absolutely, yeah. And all of our services include the full restoration. They include up to 8 dependents, or minors, 8 minors, and then your spouse, so, and a primary member. So it could be up to 10 people under one plan. You could be paying $9.95 for full restoration. You know, the credit monitoring, and even just consultation on preventative things. Our premium services add a little bit more cyber-related issues. We have, you know, a lost wallet assistance. You know, virtually keeping your information, so that you do lose your wallet or your bag or your purse gets stolen. You can't, it's like, how can you remember everything that was in there? You can just virtually keep it there, so that if that happens, you call one number and they can work on your behalf to recovering those items.
The thing about traveling and getting stuff lost, or you forgot something and then you're thinking, oh, what was in that bag? Some people recommend that you make copies of your credit cards and everything, but even that you need to keep safe.
You're just making more things to try to protect,
more accessible,
which is it's great. It's a great practice as far as keeping and preventative information, you know, being breached, but just make sure you're keeping it all locked up and in a safe place. You're not forgetting where you're putting it. You know, our cyber information to be also enhanced on the plan is a Social Security skip trace, making sure that your Social Security is not being used.
That's scary.
Yeah. And then even just public records, also monitoring 34 billion public records. You know, and you as a member have to opt in. What do you want LegalShield to monitor? They're just not going to monitor everything you give them. They can monitor medical cards, they can monitor credit cards, they can monitor, you know, addresses, phone numbers. anything that you opt into, then they'll start monitoring. It's not, don't be assumptive and know that, they already know what my information is. You'll have to do that on our secure site, which is when I went through the process, because this is a fairly, our premium services is a fairly new, but it's amazing. Like every 10 days I get something that tells me, there's no activity, and if there is, I make sure that it was me, applying for a credit card or running that, whatever information.
Now, what about the case where it actually goes, say that there needs to be legal action against someone? Is that when it goes hand in hand with the attorneys?
It does. So if in the event you're needing a letter to be written, like to a collection company that's harassing you on something that's not your debt, right? So you can use the LegalShield to write a letter to that collection agency regarding the issue. Or you can use, we have for our members over 100 legal forms available to them online. And the neat thing about that is you can complete it and then the next day fax it into the law firm to make sure it was correctly completed. And that's all part of our members and what they're paying for. There's no additional costs to that.
This all sounds fantastic, and of course we're going to have all the contact number and information in various places on YouTube and the iTunes, and also my Agents of Change will have it in their email. But why don't you go ahead and give your phone number in case people want to call you right away?
Absolutely. My our phone number is based out of here in Honolulu, but if you're on nationwide and you're listening, we still cover you on the mainland. You'd want to call 808-492-0188. Again, that's 808-492-0188. In the information and down below, you also have email information to reach out.
And your website?
Our website is weshieldhawaii.com. You can see a brief overview of what our legal and our identity theft protection can cover. We don't capture any information on there unless you give it. So go ahead and check it out. It's www.weshieldhawaii.com. And that's not limited just to Hawaii. That's just our website. If you're on the mainland listening, go ahead and check it out still. And you can contact us on that page. And my email address would be Jeni, and that's JENI, just 4 letters, JENI @weshieldhawaii.com.
All right, fantastic. Well, thank you so much, because I learned several things new today, and one of the main thing is stealing your medical insurance information. That just blows me away. Yeah. So thank you so much, Jeni.
Of course.
And when we see you back, before we leave, though, I want to remind you, if you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Legal Advice in Paradise. Subscribe to our iTunes channel, or become an Agent of Change member by texting and calling or texting your name and email to area code 808-670-3400. And in the meantime, we're going to shaka out here for the video, and we're going to say aloha and a hui ho for the audio.
Aloha and a hui ho.
All right. Until next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Legal Advice in Paradise podcast. For more information, visit www.legaladviceinparadise.com.